So I'm a professor at the University of Miami in the Art and Art History department, and I use art in order to engage others in problem solving. It's called socially engaged art. And I came here for the entire duration of talk to try to reframe the way we see one another. We all come with different delegations representing different countries, but at the end, we are one people with one purpose, and that is to stop the human impacts on our climate, that's impacting all of us across the globe. So I have created a bunch of artistic interventions, including the one behind me. This installation has tags. The traditional tag you would see at a conference where you say, "Hello, my name is," but instead of asking you for your name, I'm asking you to share your purpose, to share your future, to share your fear, and to share your hopes. And there's even one tag where I ask you to share your elevation. How many feet above sea level do you live? And what I'm trying to create is a sense of empathy, but also immediacy, urgency. That what we're trying to do here is solve a problem, not do business as usual. So if I can, by you naming the reason you're here, by you being audacious enough courageous enough to share your fear openly with someone else, your purpose, I hope to break through that stagnation that has afflicted every other pop conference. And that's what I try to do as an artist, is try to find those interstitial spaces where different people can come and think and talk.
What kind of role can art play on climate change?
Art can help you visualize and imagine different ways of thinking. It can break barriers for people who normally have one way of approaching one another. Engaging them collaboratively, I think, allows for an opening, a more creative approach, because you're not situated in your comfort zone, you're not in your silo, you're not using the jargon or the methods of your own discipline. You are forced to go into a different space, one that isn't uncomfortable because it is the most human thing we are. Art is something that across cultures, across society, for tens of thousands of years, we have shared. In fact, it's how we communicate with one another. The second reason art is important is because art is about imagining. It is about expressing ourselves, ideating, imagining things that aren't in front of us. This problem needs that type of creativity. So if I can get you a scientist and you a politician and you an NGO in that space, then hopefully we can find creative solutions where we can all come together. Art also helps reframe things. So if I can not see you as someone different than me, but I can, through art, draw a connection that you're basically sharing a purpose, or you have the same anxieties, or you have the same aspirations, then I create some proximity, some unity with you. That's the value of art. And I think, importantly, for a world that has conflicting messages, some of them paid for by lobbyists that greenwash as opposed to speak the truth, I think art gives you, the participant, the viewer, enough of an interest so you become a little more curious and self-reliant on finding your truth. So you don't get duped, you don't get dissuaded or in any way or form manipulated into thinking that by doing this you're doing the right thing when you're actually doing the opposite of what you should be doing. So through art, I pique your curiosity, you become more involved, you want to learn more, and you yourself become an eco-emissary. So the more engaged we can get our audiences, our communities, the smarter, the more engaged, the more prepared they will be to bring people to power who respond to their needs and not the other way around. Right now, our world, democratic and authoritarian, is full of leaders who do not look out for the interest of the people or their future especially. They look out for immediate self-interest. So art, engaged art, helps create a cadre of citizens who can insist that they want a better future and can ask a politician to sacrifice a little bit today so we have less suffering in the future. And every grandmother, every mother would want to do that for their child. The opposite is happening today. We are suffering, and we're going to have even more suffering in the future. And if mothers and grandmothers knew that, they would not let the politicians do what they're doing. I am afraid that COP26 is going to wind up like that again. That the fossil fuel industry will win, that we will try to reduce carbon emissions at their time scale, at the interest of big business, and not at the interest of humanity, not at the interest of biodiversity, not at the interest of a farmer at the end of a glacier that now has evaporated, run dry, not at the interest of families and societies who are going to suffer.
Individuals.
Right? Individuals who over time will find food scarcity, will find that they live in an ecosystem where we're more prone to disease because the ecosystem is collapsing, animals are weaker. In a world where more pandemics will come because weaker ecosystems create animals that aren't behaving naturally, so the laws of nature, predators versus prey, those fall apart. Pollinators versus flower, those fall apart. So weakened ecosystems allow for diseases to flourish without nature taking care of them. Food scarcity brings people into those forests to interact with those animals in ways they hadn't before. And I have weakened animals, sicker animals, humans who are desperate. You can see how pandemics can continue happening. So that is the world that we are opening here, right? When you have 2 degrees Celsius, 3 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees Celsius, the literally billions of human beings will suffer and die. Wars will happen, right? So that's the urgency. That's the urgency, right?
Which part of the world you have been to reflect your art vision?
I have been in every continent. I have created art at the North Pole in a Russian icebreaker. I got there in 5 days because the ice was already thinning, which means the more that ice thins at the North Pole, the warmer the Arctic gets, the more the permafrost melts, the more Greenland melts. I have been at the South Pole in Antarctica, where I created these pieces with the very ice that threatens to melt and drown my city where I live in Miami, Florida, the United States of America. I have created work with children in South Africa after apartheid ended. I have created work with street children in Bolivia, in South America, talking about substance abuse and asking bankers and leaders to not ignore children who had to leave the countryside, live in the streets of the city to bring money back home. I have worked in North America with children in adult prisons, kids who are treated as adults, also using art to plant acres of mangroves. I have worked in Europe, here across in Northern Ireland, working with religious issues, Catholics and Protestants on a peace mural. I have worked in Cyprus in the Mediterranean with Turks and Greeks using art as a way of trying to bridge that divide between people. I have worked in Taiwan, creating a piece about the importance of native trees in Taiwan. So literally, I have used my art as a way of engaging people across cultural, political, generational, religious issues, because I do think art has that capacity, the capacity to heal, to converge, but also to convene, right? Art has this really powerful role in society, and that is why I thought I needed to come to the most important conference addressing the most important issue that humanity faces.
So you are painting, yeah?
So as
You
an
are
artist,
taking photos.
as an artist, I do several things. So what I love about art is that art is really elastic, and by that I mean it could apply in many different ways. So as an example, this is a photograph, a print of a painting I did. That's actually a piece of paper, paint, and instead of using water, I used ice. But it's, an object that I created. But that object is now also another art piece, which is this. This is a process by me giving you that and you using it. That is another art form, right? It's a performance art. I also use the art to create this. This is an installation, right? I could paint on the wall, but I could also put these on the wall, right? So I do different things. All of them are art. I also create videos. So during this conference, I've created a lot of videos, like performances, where I try to shock your consciousness by the video. One of the videos, if you go to cortada.com/hello, I'm walking through a cemetery here, and I'm talking about us either solving this problem or opening that cemetery to billions of human beings. So it's a dramatic video, right? So these are all art forms. And I would argue that what I am doing with you right now is also an art form.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? That this communication,
Dialogue.
this dialogue is part of the art process, right? And it's happening because you're talking to an artist, we're in this space, we are doing what I call, what many call, socially engaged art. So that is what I am doing here. I'm using the entire tools that I have as an artist to try to engage and work with others. Later this afternoon, I'll be working with about 40. At 4:30, if you want to join us here at the main corridor, students from all across the United States who are going to be distributing these cards. That is yet another art form. In that case, they become the eco-emissaries, right? So as an artist, I'm the choreographer and they're the dancers. So that's
Okay.
yet another art form.
Thank you.